So kind of shifting gears, I know you mentioned, Loida, just about how, in the times during the season when your husband is away, your son is missing his father, and I know you're missing him too, and you're missing them. What would you all say has been one of the most or the most challenging part of having to be away from one another at, weeks on end during the year? What have been some of the most difficult moments?
Well, I could think about a couple things, when you mention what's been the most difficult moments. I think for me as a mom, one of the most difficult things is, when my son is feeling his emotions of missing daddy.
Yeah.
I have to be there for him. I have to comfort him. I have to remind him on why daddy's doing this. In reality, the reason why daddy's doing this is because this is something that God called daddy to do, and called us as a family to support. Yeah. That to me has been my biggest help. When my focus shifts a little bit, and I start kind of like wavering in my feelings and like maybe the circumstances that I'm facing, at home, I run into like a home improvement problem, something in the house breaks or like in the car. And I really wish that my husband was with me because he would fix it and take care of it. And I got to take care of it. In the midst of challenges, I always try to help redirect my focus, redirect his focus, and redirect my son's focus back on to God's will.
That's good.
And that is the most important part. I think it helps me get back on track.
Yeah.
I know for me, one of the challenging moments about being married and having a career where you travel so much and sometimes you have to sacrifice time away from family, I've noticed how the enemy tries to tempt me through my loneliness. Or he tries to attack me while I'm alone, whether it's making me feel like, oh man, you're a horrible father, look where you're at. You know what I mean? Or man, you missed this, you missed out on this, or you missed out on that, or you didn't get to tuck your son into bed. No, like the enemy's gonna try to attack you in many ways. And maybe you're watching this and you're not married, maybe you are. Just be mindful. Like I'm an athlete, so I'm always thinking like this. I gotta be ahead of my opponent. Try to be ahead of my opponent. Well, the enemy is our opponent, and we gotta be aware. Like in our loneliness, he's gonna try to attack us. So when I feel like, man, am I lonely? Whether I'm traveling, I'm in a hotel room, and I miss my family, and I just missed one of my son's games, or I myself wrestle with like, man, another night I didn't get to tuck my son into bed. I did get to speak to him. I did get to love on him. I did get to cheer for him. I did get to FaceTime him. But the enemy still wants to make me feel like a horrible dad. No, that's the enemy messing with me. And remind yourself of the promises of the Lord and who you are in the Lord and everything else that the Lord has helped you do in this relationship, in this marriage, and all these things. So at the end of the day, be a team, be supportive, be involved, be present, be intentional. And no matter how the enemy attacks you, no matter how many times he wants to jab at you, you know who you are because you're functioning in the Lord, and you're functioning to glorify the Lord by honoring your wife and your son or your children.
That's good. Remembering that why.
Exactly.
And the mission, which, we talk about a lot. I think that's what we all have to do, clinging to that hope, like you were saying.
And then on the flip side of that as well, like you guys had so many moments of rejoicing, if you will, throughout this time. What have been some of the most rewarding moments that you've had over the course of, the past 5 years where you've been navigating through just a different season of life?
Yeah. I think for me, off top, one of the most awesomest things throughout these past 5 years, but even going further to 13 years of our marriage, has just been God's faithfulness. Because even when we got married, taking that leap of faith to Bradenton, starting a ministry from the ground up, and then, 11 years after pouring into ministry, God calling us to something else, just seeing God always having our backs, supporting us, and, just his faithfulness coming through. We see our marriage growing. We see our relationship with our son super healthy and strong. And you've came through, and, even in the deserts, in the times where we're like, God, where you at? We took a leap of faith, what's going on? He always comes through and blows our mind the way that he comes through. So in a way, like, I want to pause and just, for those that are watching, if you feel like you're in a season where, man, God, where you at? We took the leap of faith. Yeah. We obeyed. This is kind of tough. Yeah. This is kind of challenging. Where you at, Lord? What's up? Trust me, he's gonna show up.
Yeah,
that's good. I feel like the recurring theme that I've heard, throughout what you all have shared has been, first of all, foundation is key.
Right.
You obviously, your house is built on solid rock. That's evident. And also what I've gotten is just in being intentional.
Right.
Like, I feel like that's been the recurring message that I've heard through what you all have shared. And that is so key. And I know that's good for even, us to hear, because just like you mentioned, you can even be in a season where you are always together. Like, that's how we are right now, my wife and I. But it can be easy to take that time for granted. Right. And so, yes, I hope those of you all listening and watching have been taking notes, because that's so important, that you can have the resource of time and let it go to waste.
Exactly.
With your spouse and in your marriage. So that's good.
Yeah.
Final thoughts? Any final thoughts?
Yeah.
For me, I think that I want to share something and then share two, just kind of like practical things. Early in ministry, or earlier in our marriage, while we were doing full-time ministry, we saw how much like ministry was pulling us from each other, and how that's when the intentional part started kicking in. And one of the things we implemented, I learned this through a very dear friend of mine who also is in ministry. It's called the 3 Ds.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And it's dialogue daily, date weekly, depart quarterly.
That's good.
And it's just it's trying to be intentional. Like, when we were full-time ministry, Thursday nights, sometimes we'll go Tuesday nights or Thursday nights, but that was our date night. Right. You know what I mean? That's when we would have a movie night, or we would go out for dinner, or we would do something. That was our date night. Dialoguing, that's a given, hands down, 100%. Every day we find the opportunity. Honey, how you doing? Which that kind of leads me to the next thing. Honey, how you doing? How's your day? We listen. We don't, the typical, we don't wait to talk. No, we literally just listen. It's important to hear each other out. I know a lot of people or books, communication is key. Yes, it's key. But sometimes when we say communication, we think about talking. Right. This time when I say communication, I want to use more hearing. Be quick to hear. Be more in an attitude of wanting to know and listen how your spouse is doing, how your child is doing.
Can I add to that real
absolutely.
quick? We're here sharing based on our experience and our journey. But I think that, like I said before, we take it back to our foundation, which is the Lord. And so the Lord is our teacher. He's still teaching us, and we're learning. Yeah. And we're so grateful to share a little bit about our journey and our experience. And I pray that this edifies you, in whatever God is calling you to do, your mission as a person, as a family. Keep pressing forward and ask the Lord. Continue to trust him, to put your faith in him, because he will give you what you need.
Yeah. That's good. No, that's good. That's good. So the 3 Ds, dialogue daily, date weekly, and depart quarterly, correct?
Yes, sir.
That is awesome. Hope you all are taking notes out there as you're watching it and as you're listening, because that is I love that formula, and I'm gonna kind of keep that in my pocket for the future. Man, thank you all so much for being with us on this show and just sharing the multitude of wisdom and knowledge and your experiences. For those who are listening and watching right now who may want to connect with you all, will you share how they can do so online or on social media?
Yeah, no problem. For me, you could reach me through Instagram at Justice League, and I'm sure you'll put the tag under, and feel free to reach out. I would love to connect with anyone, especially to discuss marriage or just the Lord. I would love that. So please feel free. I would appreciate that.
Awesome.
And for me, likewise, you could put my personal Instagram account and feel free to reach out that way.
Awesome. And Mike, you also have a podcast that is dropping in July of 2020. So
yes, sir.
Will you share a little bit about what that is and just the inspiration behind it, man?
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm so excited, you guys. Recently the Lord put in my heart to start a podcast, and the focus for the podcast is fatherhood. The name of the podcast is going to be the Cornermen Podcast, a Fatherhood Movement. And mostly the word cornerman came from the sport of boxing. Life could be a battle. Life could be hard at times, but as long as fathers, we are a strong corner to our children, where we are pouring life into them, we're teaching them, we're pouring into them. I feel that we're setting our children up for success, to be champions of the world. And really the focus is to open a forum, a podium for fathers and for men that are beginning fatherhood or have been involved in fatherhood for some time, to just share about their life experiences. I'm going to be interviewing a lot of men that are solid fathers, men that I have witnessed be amazing fathers in their households and into their families, and just sharing their success, what's worked, what hasn't, how have they overcome certain things, how have they been able to just do life with their children as father, leading their households. And, the second focus is really to just, bring value to what fatherhood is around the world. Yeah. We, for the past decades, we have recognized that, these generations, they have been fatherless generations. They have lacked fathers in their life. And we have seen so many teachers and coaches and other male figures around the world become father figures to children that aren't their kids. And it's because they have also witnessed that there's a lack of fathers around the world. So it's to just bring an awareness of just the beauty and the value of being a father. And it's going to be awesome. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share about this, because I'm really excited. I'm going to be interviewing some really cool men, and we're going to be discussing some topics that are real. We're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it gully. Yes. So get ready for that, man. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And that's the Cornermen Podcast, a Fatherhood Movement. That'll be available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, July 2020. Be on the lookout. Mike and Loida, we love you all. Thank you all so much just for your friendship and just for your example. And, we really look forward to all that the Lord continues to do in your marriage and in your family in the years ahead. So thank you all again.
Amen.
Thank you so much for having us. We love you guys.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much, too. And for everyone watching, I know you guys didn't expect me saying this, but I just have to say this. We love AJ and Khalil. And I know that they shared it. We've known them for 5 years. But it's important for you guys to know that we vouch for this marriage. We vouch for this couple. From the moment we've met them, not only as individuals are they amazing, godly filled, good, pure people, but their marriage is even more, stronger. And, together they're a great example of just a solid marriage. And I really encourage you guys to continue, dropping into these topics that they're discussing and bringing to you guys, because it's coming from a really good place. So thank you guys.
Humble. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Awesome. All right, friends. So as we wrap things up, here's our question of the day for you. So what is one strategy that you and your spouse use to be more intentional about spending time together? Especially if you're in a similar situation to what you heard in today's podcast, we would love to know in the comments below.
Yeah, and whether you're joining us on YouTube or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or other platform, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, ding the bell if you're on YouTube, and we want to stay connected. So if you want to learn more, you can join us at our website, marriageinsideout.com. We do a monthly training specifically on 5 steps to help you achieve and attain actionable goals.
Yeah. Yes, and we want to thank you all again for taking the time to tune in. And until next time, remember, your marriage has a mission, and what the Lord has brought together, let nothing and no one separate. Love God and love one another, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.